Hi everyone and welcome back to Storme Diaries. Today my guest on is Lauren. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
So I personally don't know you, but I feel like I do from your Instagram.
I know, yeah, I feel the same about you,
Yeah,
definitely.
So funny. So you are a mum of two boys. What are
Yes.
their names and their ages?
So I've got Frank, who is 16, just doing his GCSEs, and I've got Cass, who's 11 next month. So he's about to go to secondary school in September.
Okay, so where are you from and where did you grow up?
So I used to live not far from here actually for a few years, but originally I'm from Beckenham, so southeast London.
Right.
And I've gone off and lived a couple of places, but I've stayed there all my life.
Yeah.
I sort of don't think you can leave, do you? You get to like your mid-40s and you think, I feel like a bit of part of the furniture around here now. I don't think I can leave. But yeah, I've always been there. I went to school there. My son goes to the school that I went to.
Really?
Yeah, so I've always stayed around the same sort of area. I did move off for a little while, but I came back, I lost my dad and I wanted to be closer to my mum. So I've ended up back where I started. But yeah, it's a nice area. I'm happy there. You can get into London and so, yeah, I couldn't see myself moving now.
Yeah. So what was, like, if we go back to the beginning, what was your childhood like?
I had a very conventional, normal childhood, I think. 2.4 children as such. My mum and dad were both working class. One was from East London, one was South East London. They got together when they were 14. They were like childhood sweethearts. And then we moved out further into Kent. And yeah, I was born in 1980. I was the first. And then I had a brother. He was born like 3 years later. And yeah, we had a really nice, normal working class childhood. My mum and dad both went to work. Had their own businesses later on. And yeah, we just had a really nice, normal childhood. I both had a feisty mum and dad.
Really?
Yeah, I had a South East London mum and dad, a South East London mum and an East London dad. So there was some fire and feistiness always in our house. But I don't think that done us any harm.
Where's your dad from in East London?
So he was born. So he moved out to Beckenham probably when he was about 9.
Yeah.
But he was born just in Stepney.
Oh,
So just
okay.
outside Stepney.
Yeah.
So I don't really know that side of his life.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's from there and it was a big family and they were
Yeah.
feisty. They all lived in the same
Yeah.
house. His aunt lived next door with all her kids.
Really?
So it was a real feisty.
Yeah. That's what all my family from East London. And actually,
Yeah.
John's from Canning Town.
Oh,
so
really?
He's a proper tanner.
Yeah. They've just got something about them,
something,
innit? It's some oomph that they've got about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a really nice childhood, lovely childhood, and we was just brought up with loving parents in a very normal little happy house.
Aw.
Yeah, it's good.
So, as you grew up, what was your career like?
So I was always quite creative. So I was a creative at school. I was never very academic. My brother was someone who was just really good at everything. Do you know what I mean? But I was more creative. I wasn't very good at like your maths, your English, your science. I was always the one that was like painting and drawing. And I finished school and I knew I wanted to do a creative job. But at that point, I didn't really know what it was. But I said to my dad, right, I'm going to go to uni, which he was chuffed about. I was the first person in my family to ever go to uni. And I said, I'm going to do something creative. Well, my dad is very, like I said, was very upfront. And he said, well, you're going to need to be an architect. If you're going to do something creative, I'm a builder, you're going to need to be an architect. So I said, well, I don't really know what I want to do. I think I'll do like design. And he was like, well, you need to be an architect. He was quite forceful. But yeah, he said, otherwise you're going to end up selling Hoover at Alders. I don't know where that came from, but that was his like vision. If I didn't do something that he knew was going to earn me loads of money being creative, it wasn't worth it. So I went and done a design degree. And I knew quite quickly that I wanted to work in fashion. I think that was my thing. I knew it. I loved clothes. there was a lot of female force in my family growing up, and they were very like, old school stylish women. My nan was all, red lipstick and fur coats and, in her East London way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so I knew what style was, and I was aware of it in my family, and nice perfume. And I kind of grew up working class women, but that they wanted to look good. And I thought, I like this, this feels right for me.
Yeah.
So I started on a journey in fashion. I started window dressing. I think my first ever job was on $9,000 a year. I was like window dressing, but I knew quite quickly as soon as I worked in retail and in fashion that I wanted to be a buyer. They were holding all the cards.
Yeah.
They were telling people, what to wear and how to wear it, and I just thought it was fascinating. So I just made it my business to try and get in with one of them, and sort of hounded various buyers until one of them eventually took me on as a buyer's assistant. And then, that just started the journey, really. That was going in at the bottom. And then from then, over about 15 years, I worked my way all the way to the top until I left the last retailer that I was at, where I was a senior buyer for accessories, so women's handbags and leather goods. And it was a lot. I mean, there was a lot to unpack over this 15 years. It's a bit of a journey, but I mean, it was such an interesting job. I loved it.
So is that what inspires you to do like your Instagram now?
Yeah, well, I think it's if you've got a natural affinity to something, like a pull or a draw, or it's something that interests you and you love, and that I don't think that necessarily has to be a job. I mean, it's various different things for people. It never really goes away. You can't kind of fight it. It's almost like intrinsically part of you, especially if you're a creative. I think it sort of lives there, and it'll come out at different times. I had to walk away from my job for various reasons. Retail sort of went online, it left bricks and mortar. I mean, when I started in retail, online shopping didn't effectively exist. Everyone was online. Everyone just went into stores. On a Saturday, you got up, you went to your high street, you did your shopping, and then suddenly online literally exploded overnight, and people could do this breadth of shopping and have it delivered to their door the next day. And it kind of changed retail for me, and it changed the job role specifically because, overnight, some of the creativity was lost because we then had to become almost like a logistic machine in terms of getting new stock in terms of getting it out. And it was all codependent on the retailer being able to purpose those logistics because some retailers did it really quickly. And I was an old school retailer, really, when I look back now, and they took a very long time to kind of make decisions. But when retail sort of went online and clothing went online, you didn't have that grace. Everyone was trying to turn it on really quickly, open these big DCs to just get product out to people in their homes. And I think they sort of took really too long to get that going. And it really changed the business that we were in and the job and the company. And sort of overnight we were working very creative jobs, but then we were working very logistics heavy based jobs that probably traditionally weren't part of a buying role, but we all had to kind of find a way to get product online and to get it out to customers. So as soon as the creativity started to dip off, my love for it did as well.
Really?
Yeah. And it's a shame because I think if the retailer had been a bit quicker and a bit more reactive and just saw the vision rather than dragging their feet to get there, it would. A lot of people left around the same time as me, and the business has suffered overall since, which is such a shame. But retail is like that. It is super reactive, especially in fashion. You've got to be able to turn stuff on quickly if you have to, and they just weren't set up to do that.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
You done a lot of travelling for work, didn't you? What sort of places did you go to?
It's the best time. Do you know what? The best retailer I ever worked for And I worked for them for about 2 years. Was Woolworths? I don't know
Was
if you
it?
remember
Yeah, I remember
Woolworths. Yeah,
Woolworths.
I miss Woolworths.
Yeah, I do.
The pick and mix, the CDs,
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
time to be alive. But I worked for them for a couple of years after I was just got to buyer level. And the travelling that we done was immense. And we were buying for 800 shops. So we were buying
Yeah.
really big volumes. And that
Yeah.
gave you a lot of buying power. You know,
Yeah.
when you were in factories, you could, really good, decent negotiations on price and stuff. And I loved all of that.
Yeah.
And we did some amazing travel. I mean, and that's when retail, before it went online, was like golden, especially Woolworths. They were everywhere.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was such, they had such a big stance on the high street. So
Yeah.
we would go to, obviously most of our suppliers were in China, particularly on the category I was buying, but we'd go to Hong Kong and we'd just like pitch up there for a month, and then we'd just fly in and out of parts of China
Yeah.
and do some work there, come back, work on the ranges, go back to another factory.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like early 20s,
Was
like
you?
I didn't have
Living
any
your best
kids.
life.
I was
Yeah.
living my best life. We were throwing ourselves around Hong Kong. We were drinking and eating all the best places,
Yeah.
partying, shopping.
Oh, amazing.
Like when I look back now, like you don't realise, do you, till years after? Like
Yeah.
that was like the golden time of retail and my life as well. Like it was so much fun. But I mean, travel is an amazing part of buying and retail, but it becomes more difficult as your commitments change here as well. So like having 2 kids in the retailer, when I was buying Fashax at the retailer before I left, I was in India a lot because we were sourcing skins out of India, and it was beautiful. I mean, I don't know if you've been to India, but it's,
No, I haven't.
it's amazing.
It's the one place I really want to go.
It's beautiful. I mean, I loved it, but it was really hard because they're 3-4 week trips sometimes when you're buying, across footwear and bags. We're buying big ranges and we're buying skins, and then we're developing the product. And I was a single mum at that point, and it just become too hard to be away from the kids. You need an army and a village to help you raise your kids when you're here, let alone when you're not here.
Yeah.
So that was one, that and kind of the job role would change were probably the 2 biggest reasons sort of why I left, I think.
Okay, so you've obviously said that you then become a single parent.
Yeah.
When like how old were the kids when that happened?
So I've got 2 boys. They've got different dads, so they're not from the same dad.
Yeah.
My youngest, he was 4 when I split up with his dad.
Yeah.
We just led very different lives. I was travelling a lot. I had a very kind of demanding job. He worked for himself as well. That was demanding, and kind of life just started to not align.
Yeah.
For different reasons.
Yeah.
So we split up when he was really young, and then I was with someone else that I'd known nearly all my life for a few years, and then I had my second son, and then we split up when he was about 1. So again, he was quite young.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different. Well, we won't go in the road. I won't
No,
discuss.
no,
We won't
we don't
discuss
need
him.
to,
We don't need
no.
to discuss him. But yeah. So So I had 2, and kind of with a 5-year age gap. So sort of one was at school. My mum and dad doing like school runs, and because I had such a demanding job, my youngest pretty much went into full-time nursery when he was 6 months because I had to go back to work.
Yeah.
I mean, this was pre-COVID as well, and working life for women, I think pre-COVID was so different to what it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to go there was no way I couldn't not be in the office. I mean, I remember when I had my second one and I split up with his dad, and I was like, God, this is a lot, for my mum to have to help me with, because she had her own businesses as well. And I sort of said, can I do a 9-day fortnight? So i.e. every other Friday, can I just either be off or I can work from home?
Yeah.
And they was like, no.
Really?
This is a full-time job. And I was like, but that is full-time.
Yeah.
And it was if you want to be a head of buying, which was the next step, I was a senior buyer to go to a head of buying to manage the whole of women's accessories. If you want to get there, then that's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
And it was very cutting. It was just like, that's how it is. And so then COVID happened. And I think, COVID was the most horrendous time. But I think if, looking at just women in particular, and the only bonus to come out of that is that hopefully for some of them, and I've seen it with some of my friends, that their working life has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
They've got a little bit of balance. Flexi is now far more acceptable and understood. People hot desking, working from home.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I like to think, hopefully, the one good thing out of it is that women have got a bit of balance back.
Yeah. Although I think it still depends on what job that you do. Because
I
worked for a broker, so all through lockdown, we were still going in the office.
Oh,
we weren't working from home at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose, do you feel like then that you had to choose between being a mum and having a good job?
Oh, yeah, for sure. At that point, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was travelling a lot. I was told, and the job had become more stressful. Like I said, the job had become more stressful. I was travelling a lot, and I was told fundamentally, despite my home life situation and the fact that I was needed to just be present a bit more, that there was no way I could do that.
Was it women that you worked for?
Yeah.
I've found that before with
all women.
Did they have kids as well? Or?
Yeah, but I mean, the women that I worked for, they were the next essentially grade up. So they had nannies. I couldn't afford a nanny. I could just about afford for my youngest to be in full-time nursery.
Yeah.
And that was like another mortgage.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, what I have to pay.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, I'm never going to be able to buy my own home and get on my feet while I'm paying these nursery bills. And if I can just have a bit of flexi back, I can manage this, hopefully save some money and be able to kind of start my life again. And the irony is that the retailer that I was working for was like, we're a family, we are all a family, our bonus schemes and everything was based on the fact that we are a family, but that only worked
when it was on their terms.
Yeah.
I had exactly the same situation when I went back after I had my two.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a very small company. They obviously got bigger and then it wasn't on their terms anymore, unfortunately. And I do feel like I was slightly pushed out, which is really sad. But then I also think that it's probably done me a favour because I'm now getting to spend time with the kids and I'm getting to do this and, my clothing brand.
Yeah, and you're of that mindset as well. I think you're either glass half full or half empty, don't you? You can look back and resent some of the stuff that happened and think, oh, actually, do you know what? That gave me an opportunity to do this, this and this. Be with your kids more.
Yeah, exactly. Although I think going to work is actually less stressful.
Sometimes you do think, oh my God, what would be easier?
I know, it would. So you also have your catering company, the Table Stories.
Yeah.
So I actually followed your account on my personal account for ages.
Did you?
Yeah. And obviously I didn't realise it was you, but
yeah.
The food looks amazing. The tables essentially tell a story.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what, I left buying and sort of decided that I needed a break from the whole fashion world because it became so overwhelming at the end. And when I left, I was like, I can't do anything retail or fashion based anymore. So I did something completely different. I love foods. We've always been foodies in our house. I grew up in a foodie house. Yeah. And I love foods. I've always cooked and I've always catered kind of not big events, family events. I was always the one, I'll do it. And I just suddenly thought during lockdown, do you know what? I'm going to see if I can turn my hand to this. It's still creative, which it has to be. Creative. It has to be for me. Otherwise it won't work. Did loads of courses, cooking, baking. I did a bit of fishmongery course, a bit of butchery. Yeah, to just try and understand like the process to cater on a bigger scale. Yeah. And during that time, I'd lost my dad. My dad had died and I'd been left some money, and I thought, do you know what? I was heavily into the whole cooking thing then, and I thought, do you know what? We'll open a coffee shop. I do that. I am like, right, we're going to do
Impulsive.
this. Yeah, I think my poor mum, I just think, oh my God.
Does she go with it though?
Yeah, she's amazing. Sometimes I think, I don't know how she stuck around. She had packed her bags and said, see ya, you're on your own this time. But we opened like a coffee shop and a bar.
Where was that?
Out near where I live. So,
okay.
Bromley Way. And I loved it. And then it just kind of, the food thing just grew and grew and grew. We got a catering business on the side. And we were really lucky. I mean, we had some, it was graft. I mean, it is hard graft.
Yeah.
Anyone in hospitality will tell you it is backbreaking. But we had some lucky breaks as well. We decided quite early on that we had a vision that, you know, food and catering and eventing could be style and substance. It didn't have to be one or the other. And we were going to push like our creative background, which was kind of table dressing and setting things out beautifully and that kind of thing. And we had some lucky breaks. We had some celebrity stuff. We got to work with some really nice big brands. Yeah. And then, it just kind of went off on this thing, and it became this thing. And sadly, we had to shut the coffee shop. Our lease ended, and I mean, hospitality is horrendous in terms of it's so difficult to trade at the moment.
Yeah. Can imagine.
You know, rates, PAYE, rents, VAT, it's awful. We had a really unfortunately greedy landlord as well. So we kind of walked away from that, which was awful. I mean, we could do another whole podcast on that. That was really bad. It was my first step into having my own business, and did it for a few years. Obviously, I had a team, and then to have to shut it down and everything involved in that. I mean, that was... Yeah. It was an eye-opener to having your own business for sure, and it was really difficult. So we kind of part that and then just focused on the events, catering business. And it ticks away nicely now, it does its own thing. And kind of when I sort of left the restaurant and the coffee shop and kind of took myself away from that, I found I had a little bit more time back. Not loads, but a little bit more time back. And I just thought, I opened my own Instagram again, started to do a bit of posting and just that was a couple of months ago, and just sort of seeing how it's gone. But it's going all right.
You took off. You're on 20k now, aren't you?
It's all right. It's all right. I mean, you be careful what you wish for. You suddenly find yourself, you've got another job, haven't you? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
You step away from one thinking, I'm going to have a little bit of time now, but I've got that kind of ADHD. What can I do now? Well, I'm going to start this.
Yeah. Do you find it's quite time consuming?
For sure. The editing. I mean, the editing this. I mean, I don't know how.
Do you know what? Me and John never argue, but I feel like we're going to get divorced
on the editing
because it is so time consuming. Like the files, the cameras, like.
Yeah, I mean, I do a small scale on my phone, but to do it on this, because it's hours of footage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm only over like a 16-minute video I've got, so God knows how you feel.
Yeah, it's a lot. So you do Catwalk to Cool Mums?
Yeah, we're trying to. I mean, I just think I'm just trying to. I mean, I'm very early on in this, so I don't know how it's going to go, but tap into what I know in terms of my former life. And I've seen it with a lot of people. I've seen it with my mum and her friends. I've seen it with my friends. Sometimes hitting your late 30s and 40s, you do have a bit of a crisis in general.
Yeah.
You know, you see a lot of women, don't you, have career crises. You know, my kids are getting older. What do I want to do?
Yeah.
And I think you do that a bit with your style as well. You kind of, your body changes.
Yeah.
You have to evolve. You've got a very different pace of life. You kind of have to dress to fit in with that. And
a lot of people go for comfort. Don't they, as they get older?
There's nothing wrong with a bit of comfort. We all love it. But hopefully I'm just trying to bring back a bit of what I've learned over the years that I worked in fashion to try and hopefully inspire women that, do you know what, just because you've hit your late 30s and 40s does not mean that it's over. You know, you can still feel cool. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
And you don't have to kind of break your back financially to do it. So that's the thought process.
Yes, yeah. And you share like some of your food bits, like
Yeah.
even you've done the wine with the pickles.
Oh my God, did you
I need to try that.
That went, I mean, if I thought I broke the internet, so I had to send in notifications off on my phone. It was, I had people swearing. I mean, there was loads in French.
Really?
I don't speak French, which I think is probably a blessing because there was a lot of probably derogatory comments about, I mean, we have a little, you know, in our house, we're a very foodie house. Is part of our life, is part of my work, and we always try new things, and we love a little tipple as well at the weekend.
Yeah.
So, sharing some of that, and I didn't know that putting a few pickles in a glass of wine was going to upset as many people. Do
you have a lot of like backlash, or has it been a lot more positive?
I've been really lucky so far. I was talking about this to someone who I know who's a very well established like content creator, and you know, she said kind of like buckle up, it does get worse, which I can imagine that it does.
Yeah,
I've not had anything really off that video. There was a couple of little swearing, very upset, very irate, which I couldn't get my head around. I mean, of all the things you can get irate about, a glass of wine, but there's very angry people on the internet, so I'm waiting for some of them to surface. I haven't had that much backlash, but I think I'm quite in my infancy. I would have thought as you get bigger, there's probably
gonna come with that.
Everyone's got an opinion sitting behind their phone, haven't they? And I think that's when they feel most
confident,
brave enough to put it out there.
Yeah. How do you think you will like deal with that if it comes?
Oh, do you know what? I think life, you know, a lot has, like all of us, a lot has happened in my life, and I think you get to your 40s and you just don't care as much anymore. You don't care as much.
No.
I mean, I've sort of started this and kind of going to give it one last big kind of go, because what have you got to lose?
Exactly.
And I think, you know, I've done everything in my life to try and be a good, you know, friend and daughter and mum and all of that stuff. And I think as you show up authentically as yourself with good intentions, who cares really what anyone thinks?
Exactly.
You can't.
Yeah, no.
Otherwise you just constantly be...
Yeah. And I mean, like what you said, if you don't try, you're never going to know. And I mean, as you say, people will only do it behind a keyboard. They won't actually say it to your face, will they? So
definitely.
Sad, really.
You have it, you know, you have it all the time. Sort of people come up and they go, oh my God, you know, I love your videos. But they're not anyone that's ever commented or, you know.
And it's normally some of the people that you know, don't actually do it.
It's so true.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
so true.
Yeah.
I think someone said to me when I first started doing this, and it's started to kind of do well, they said, you know, it won't be the people in your inner circle, or you think's in your inner circle, that support you. The people that will build this and G you up and keep you going will be the strangers on the internet. And I sort of thought, don't be so ridiculous.
It's true though.
But you do, and you meet like we've met through, you know, you meet some amazing, inspiring people, especially kind of, I put a bit of content out about my dad and my brother. I lost my dad and my brother quite close together. And I didn't really know anyone that had gone through the same thing. And kind of talking about it online, then you then find all these people that have gone through the same thing. And you do build a community. People talking about build a community. You do start to do that through things and experiences, and people kind of connect with you because stuff has happened to them. So I think for all of the negatives, there is so many positives, and not just financial, not just about that as well, about connecting with people that you wouldn't have ordinarily met that are like you.
Which is the exact reason why I started this podcast, because I did keep getting messages, and I just felt like if someone can hear someone's story and it helped them, then that's all I wanted from this. Like this to me is a bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? And to help someone. So you said that you lost your brother.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about that?
No. My brother was 26 when he died.
Right.
So he would have been, what am I now? He would have been 42 now. He died, he was in Holland when he died. He died in a car crash.
Really?
Yeah. And all very sudden. He was living in Holland at the time. My brother was very like free-spirited. He was not a law, but maybe a law unto himself. He was, you know, he did exactly what he wanted to do in life. And it was on great terms with my dad, unfortunately, when he died. And yeah, he had this tragic accident and he died. And yeah, it just went through my whole family like a wrecking ball. I was 8 months pregnant at the time.
Really?
Yeah, with Frank, which is my eldest, obviously. And yeah, it was horrendous. He was killed very suddenly. My mum and dad had to fly out there to identify him. And I genuinely think both of them came back completely different people.
Yeah.
My dad was a East London black cab driver. So very, you know, just very kind of, you know, chatty, and, you know, he kept himself to himself, but he was chatty. He was, you know, saw the positives in life, very happy-go-lucky. And I mean, I think probably because they weren't on great terms when my brother died, he came back with like a stutter from the trip. Yeah, which was awful. I mean, I still remember him now walking in the room and trying to get his words out. I mean, which was unbelievable to me. It's your dad.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see your dad in tears and stuttering, and your dad's he was the guts, the backbone to our family. So he came back a very different person. And then not long after, he got leukemia. He had multiple myeloma.
Really?
And then he died about 2 years after he was diagnosed with that. I mean, which was terrible. It's making me want to.
There are tissues next to you. If you want them,
in a minute. Sure. But yeah, it just kind of ruined his life. He buried a child, he buried his baby, and I think he wasn't on great terms with him, like I said. And I think that was just unbearable for my dad.
Inside,
and I think he then became not well, but he had a great prognosis. I mean, he had multiple myeloma, which is kind of like a blood leukemia, and he was about to have some stem cell therapy. He was right at the end of the treatment. He'd finished all his chemo, and his very last dose of chemo, they took him off blood thinners a little bit too early, and he got a blood clot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he got sepsis, and he died sort of within 12 hours. And yeah, it was just awful. And my mum, I think also came back from that trip when they went to kind of identify my brother and bring his body home. She came back a different person as well, but it's so hard to explain. She almost came back like an easier version of herself. Like, not that I'd ever clashed with my mum. I mean, I've always been a daddy's girl, but my mum was just quite feisty and fiery. Girls clashed with their mums growing up, and my mum and I had a bit of a relationship like that, where we was always kind of very opinionated and a bit hot-headed. And my mum came back from that trip of trying to sort kind of what happened out to my brother, almost like a softer version of herself.
Yeah.
And I think we then, on my mum and my relationship, sort of really started from that point. We become exceptionally close because of what had happened. I think she needed me more than probably she ever had before. Then my dad became unwell not long after.
Yeah.
And we sort of became extraordinarily close from then on.
Yeah.
Because life is short, isn't it? And I think when you have something so horrendous like that happen to you, you just organically reevaluate everything. You know, the kind of decisions you make, the arguments that you pick to have, and yeah, it was. They both came back different people, and I don't know. I just think anyone that may be watching this that has, God forbid, ever lost a child, I don't think your life is ever the same.
Yeah. I mean, my aunt was 27 when she died, and she was 8 months pregnant, and she had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and she died of allergic reaction out the blue. And this was obviously before I was born, but I was very close to my nan, and still to when she passed away, she would always talk about her.
Yeah.
But she was still such an amazing nan. And like, maybe growing up, maybe when I was younger, I didn't appreciate it as much. But as I grew up and I understood what she'd gone through, and even more becoming a mum now, I understand that she could have let the grief overtake her, and she didn't. And she put that into us, all our grandkids, which is amazing. When you've gone through that unimaginable loss that you don't ever want anyone to go through. And I see your post when you put up about Mother's Day, and you said about that your mum should maybe dread Mother's Day when she's not got her own son, but she puts that into your child. And I was watching it this morning, and I was like, I had tears in my eyes, and it is so sad. But obviously your mummy's showing up for your kids. Like, how do you think that? I mean, maybe your kids are a little bit younger now and they don't appreciate it as
me
much.
and my teen had a bit of an argument the other day just about not showing her enough TLC, because she's totally devoted to them.
Yeah.
And off the back of what you said, I think it takes the most special kind of person that has walked through that hell to then be able to turn it into something that is so positive. I don't know if I could do that. I genuinely don't know if I could do that. And that's why I when my mum came back and sort of took on this role of like, kind of, she'll keep us together and she'll keep everything going, and she's always a voice of support and positivity. And when she kind of sort of really started to establish herself as that person, I just thought, oh my God, I found a new love for my mum. Do you know what I mean? Our relationship totally changed, because I thought, how are you doing this? How are you getting up every day? And she puts her lipstick on. My mum's a lipstick girl. Yeah. And, her hair's done every day and her lipstick's on. And she's going out and supporting everyone in her little unit. And I thought, how can you do that? Because I think, someone said to me a little while ago, your mum's amazing, because there's a lot of people that use trauma as maybe as an excuse sometimes for their worst kind of behaviours. You know what I mean? You can sort of say, well, I did that because of X. And my mum's never done that. My dad, they never did that. Even on their down days when I know that they couldn't bear to even talk to anyone, there was still a kind of try and just keep going type mentality. And I've got that ultimate respect for my mum. I think she's incredible. I said to my teen the other day, sort of was rushing in and out doing his GCSEs, and she asked him something and he was a bit snappy, and I said, don't you snap at her.
That's my mum.
That's my mum. She's the queen here. You need to, because you don't, he's a teenager. They don't understand. They didn't, they weren't around at that time, and you wouldn't have wanted them to see what happened. But I think you only get it as you get older. And like you said, when you have your own kids, your perspective totally changes on like what motherhood has to be at its worst, at its best of all of it.
Yeah. Do you think it's also like her era of like...
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people nowadays probably wouldn't handle it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, she's thrived. I mean, she had her own business. She sold that a few years ago. She didn't want the commitment of it. But, I mean, she is someone that wants to be up every day dressed, a lippy on, she's out. She's working she obviously does some work for me. She works for my friend in her little coffee shop since ours shut, because she likes to chat to everyone be involved. Yeah, and every event we go to, she's like, I'm free. I'm working that one.
That's so cute.
She's not. I think, like we said, it's a sink or swim, isn't it? And you can she's in her 70s now. You can get to that point in your life. and have gone through what you've gone through, and she's always worked. She's been she's been a grafter, as we would say. She's been a grafter. She's done that all her life, and I think she would have the opportunity now to put her feet up and think, she's up, she's out, and I respect that as well. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. I think when you are a grafter, though, you've got that in you. You
for
can't
sure.
then settle down, can you? Like it's you've got to have something like get up and go.
Yeah, definitely. She'd be in all day. She goes, right, I'm bored today. I think, she goes, right, I've got to do this, and tomorrow. So as to say, pick your own kids up from school. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've got a lot on tomorrow, so you're picking up your own children. So, but yeah, it's amazing.
Bless her. So obviously, when all this was happening, was that you said you was 8 months pregnant?
Yeah.
And then obviously you had a small child when you was dealing with all this.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
I look back now and I just think you just do what you have to do, what you've got to do at the time to just get through it. I mean, my mum was just bereft. I mean, she just kind of walked around in those early days after he died, and we were kind of trying to sort out funerals, and she couldn't even really speak. My dad was kind of stutter and just lost. So I remember I was 8 months pregnant and going to try and get his death certificate and sitting in this office. He'd died abroad, and he was died in Holland, and the Dutch only would issue an interim kind of death certificate. I then had to battle to get a full death certificate for kind of to sort out his whole life that he still had here. And I remember just being 8 months pregnant and sitting in kind of the civil offices near where I live trying to sort this out. And I just can tell you what I was wearing because I just thought, this is like from a film. This can't be my life.
Yeah.
This can't really be my life. And I remember the last conversation that we had just before, it was 2 nights before he died. I'd been in New York on holiday and we were laughing. I was obviously getting to be quite heavily pregnant then, and he phoned me up and said, like, how are you doing? And I was standing outside the Rockefeller Centre, and I remember looking at the tree and everyone was ice skating, and he said to me, Mum says, your belly button's starting to stick out, and that's disgusting, isn't it? And we were just it was the last conversation we ever had, and I laughed and I just said, well, you are disgusting. We just was brother-sister type. Yeah. We were always bantering. He was very kind of quick and sharp and funny. And and that was the last conversation we ever had, and that stuck with me as well. And then it all happened, and I think kind of the time after that, probably the first 6 months of my son's life, I had something to focus on. I had a new baby. I had something to...
You have to get up
and then that gave me purpose. I mean, I don't think... you like to think that anything ever happens for a reason in those kind of God for awful situations, but I do take it that I was a new mum was a blessing, because I just think I had this little person that needed me to be sharp, focused.
Yeah.
And I think I did that. I think my grief has probably revisited me later in life at different points that I haven't seen coming. Which I think grief is probably it is a bit like that. It's a roller coaster, and I think it's come back at points that I haven't seen coming, and that I've had to sort of kind of deal with totally almost out of the blue.
So do you go therapy or anything? Yeah.
I'm a massive, massive fan, but I haven't been going for very long.
Okay.
So I only started last year. I hit a bit of a brick wall. I had a relationship that broke down, and I just found it all I found life became very overwhelming. Even doing small things became very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine says, like a lot has happened in life. Why don't you try and talk to someone about how you feel? Small tasks I get very anxious about, and kind of things that weren't really me. And I knew there was underlying stuff that I'd never really talked about or dealt with. and I had a son that just become a teenager. That was, making me anxious. That was being quite kind of problematic, and all of this stuff sort of became quite overwhelming. So I went to therapy, and I literally have never looked back.
Really?
Yeah, I go every other week. She just, I think having someone to talk to that is on that outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Is
not on the inside. You love and need those people on the inside to talk to. I tell my mum everything to the point that she goes, sometimes, God, that's a bit too much information. But she's on my team.
Yeah.
She will always support me, and sometimes almost sugarcoat it, but she'll always be there to say, we can make this all right. It'll be all right. When you've got someone on the outside that's actually not emotionally attached to you, so they can tell you quite honestly situations maybe that you are still invested in that you shouldn't be, how you can handle situations, all of that stuff. It's just an outside point of view.
Yeah. I've been therapy over the years.
Yeah.
And my mum never used to get it, and I used to say to her, but I've got my friends, I've got my family, but as stupid as it sounds, someone who's trained in what they're doing, when they then tell you that you're right, you then feel like you're right, even though your family and friends can say that.
So true.
You just feel that little bit better, don't you?
You do. And I think they're trained in behaviours and things like that as well. I mean, I've never had an ADHD diagnosis, but I've always thought I had a little bit. Well, she was quite firmly, yeah. You've got it. I mean, there's no point in having like a real formal diagnosis unless you're thinking about medication, and I'm not, and I wasn't. But kind of, and that just made so much sense to me.
Yeah.
Like about how I was in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And even back to creativity and how it relates to like being creative. She just literally laid some stuff out for me, and kind of all little disconnects suddenly connected, and I can't explain it. You sort of sometimes then make a bit of peace with how you feel.
It's
quite a peaceful thing, I think, to go to therapy. It's not I mean, very rarely do I come out tearful, but it's quite a peace. It's about finding, I think, a bit of peace in who you are, in how you are.
And sometimes once you say it out loud, you feel like a weight's been lifted, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And she's really helped me parent as well, because, I mean, I've got a teenager who is amazing. I mean, I'm very, very lucky. We don't have any of the stuff that I think I put my mum through. She was like... I won't go there, but you know what it's like to be a teenager. But I don't have any of that. I mean, he's leaving school, but he's got a great apprenticeship. He's all about the gym and running and health. And I mean, teenagers are like that now. I know.
Back in my day, we was drinking on the streets at 13.
There's white lightning on park benches round the back of the station when I was in my teens.
Like the world is changing, and obviously you can't get away with that now because they've got ring doorbells, find my phone.
I track him within an inch of his life wherever he goes.
Video call me. So
exactly. I know exactly where you are. There's no hiding out.
I feel a little bit sorry for him sometimes.
I rinsed it, I think, sometimes, but I do. But I am really lucky with him. Like there's no reason to be stressed about what he's doing. But we still, I mean, he's opinionated and he's fiery. I mean, I don't know where he gets it from. There's a family full of us, but he's got gumption about him, and that's something in me I'll never not have. So we've clashed a lot. He's not been interested in school, but he's ended up getting a really good apprenticeship, and he's really happy, so I'm pleased with him. But we clashed a lot, coming up to his GCSEs about, exploring his options. He was very fixated on one thing, and that worried me. We clashed a huge amount.
So do you co-parent him, or do you?
No, I mean, he lives obviously with me. He spends a lot of time with his dad, predominantly through work. His dad doesn't live locally, so he only spends maybe one night, a couple of nights a fortnight with him.
Right, okay.
And he's a teenager. He likes to be all of his friends and his school and everything is around where we live. But myself and his dad don't meet eye to eye on a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So you feel like when he's at home, it's all on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's tough because I think, I tried to make him understand the other day, like, I've never had a teenager before. He's never been a teenager before. I've never had a teenager before.
It's all new for you.
Yeah, there's no book with it. Like, I get stuff wrong, he gets stuff wrong. But I think it's hard raising a man as well because he's becoming a man and he's got very clear opinions on things. And you suddenly find that, you're like, this is not how this relationship started. Do you know what I mean? You were like a chubby 1-year-old a little while ago, and now you're this opinionated man that's about a foot taller than me. Which is I mean, I think it's tough. It is tough.
I was going to say, at what point would you say was the hardest?
Oh God.
Because a lot of people that have got
a newborn than a teenager.
See, I didn't really enjoy the newborn
stage. The newborn's hard.
Hard.
I think you wish away the newborn years because you're just getting no sleep, are you? You can't put them down for very long to be able to do anything. I had quite colicky babies, so they were. Did. That was hard. It was a lot. I mean, every 2 or 3 hours during the night. I think you wish away those years. I think the toddler years are amazing.
Indy's age now, like she's a little cow, but she's so funny. Where she's learning stuff, it is funny.
And you see their opinions start to form.
Well, no, that's all we're hearing at the minute. He's no. She's no daddy.
They come out that era. It lingers for a little while. They do come out that era.
Oh my God, it's driving me insane.
When they go to bed, you're a bit like, oh, I love you so much, but oh my God, just a little bit of respite from the no. Yeah.
And then I've had a lady on here who actually said it's harder when they get older. And my mum said that because she was like, because I couldn't then tell you what to do.
This last, I mean, he's 16 now. I'd say this last 3 years has been the hardest.
Really?
Yeah. And if he watches this, I feel like I do really love you, Frank. And I do adore him. I adore him. But it's hard.
Yeah. But then
because you have to relinquish control. I am a little bit of a control freak for sure. But you have to relinquish control for them to almost make some of their own mistakes. And as a parent, what you don't ever want your kids to do, you want to protect them, don't you, from any sort of like wrong decision or mistake and you have to sort of allow it to happen because otherwise they're not going to evolve and grow. And I think when it comes to his schooling, I just wanted him to leave school. He's very dyslexic, which has made it more difficult for him as well. But I wanted him to leave school with the most amount of opportunities available to him. And I knew that was that would be off the back of he worked as hard as he could to just get to that point where he could leave and think, I've accomplished as much as I can. Yeah. What are my choices? But he was very quite early on, had a mindset. And his dad agreed, which made it harder to kind of challenge and talk to him about as well, that he just wanted his maths and English and that's all he needed for his apprenticeship.
Oh, really?
So everything from then on was like whatever.
So you said he's got an apprenticeship, what was it, at the Walton?
Yeah, so it's a lovely job and he's really happy, and I'm now, after the therapy, I'm out the other side of it with him where, you just have to say, if you're happy, I'm happy. But it's not easy to get to that point. Yeah. But he's got an apprenticeship as a Thames waterman and lighterman, which is like 5th generation for him, which is amazing. He loves it. He's not working for his dad, which that's not personal against his dad. I wanted him to kind of work for a firm where he could establish himself and his own ways and get to know people and be social and all the things that come with starting your first job. Yeah. He's doing that, and he works them at weekends now, and he's starting properly in July. But he loves it. The river and the Thames and all of that, I think, is in his blood. And we've talked about that. If that's part of you and you love it, then you have to go with it, don't you, and see where it goes. So he's on the river, and he's working for a really good firm. They really look after him. So yeah,
I mean, as a mum, then that's all you want is
for
for him
sure
to be happy.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, if that wasn't the route that he went down, what other job would you have wanted for him?
He's a massive foodie.
Is he?
Yes. Massive foodie.
Yeah.
I mean, and like really good. Like he's cooked since he was about 12 or 13.
Really?
For all of us.
Yeah.
Amazing dinners. He's really good with like flavours and tastes and putting stuff together. He loves restaurants. Like that's our little thing where we're not, like we'll try different places and eat different food. And he's a real foodie. And a little bit of me for a while was like, why don't you try something, food-based? You can have your own business, but no.
Yeah.
But it's his hobby. And I, hobbies and loves can come around later in life.
Yeah.
Like it did for me and become something.
Yeah. I mean, it could always be something that he falls back on if this doesn't work for him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But he's exploring at the moment what he really loves. He's happy and he's in a good job. And I think, I had to just kind of make peace with that and think it's about him and his life. It's not about me and what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really hard.
So also on your social media, I see not that long ago that you had your boob job done in Turkey.
I did. I've switched it up and I've actually put like a nice bra on for you today.
So what made you do that?
Oh, God. I mean, it was a long time coming. So I'd had implants for over 20 years. I think you're not supposed to keep them in for more than like 10 or 15.
Yeah, I've got mine for like 15. Yeah. Mine are definitely rippled. Yeah.
It was, but I had no signs that anything was wrong with mine. That's not what prompted me to do it. But I did know in the back of my head, you're on borrowed time now with these before something has a possibility to go really wrong with them. They were massive. I think you get a bit older and your body change and they just become even bigger, like I'm perimenopausal, and I just found like your body changes, and that's a bit of something to cope with anyway. They just felt like they were getting bigger and bigger off the back of getting a bit older, and I just thought, don't like these. Yeah, I started to not wear the clothes that I wanted to wear because of them, and I just thought this is ridiculous. I think I was like a double D, almost E when I went in. So I knew I wanted to have them removed, but I'd been to see someone in Harley Street and they said to me, well, you can have them removed, you can have an explant, but like you're going to have an uplift as well, which I'm 45, I've had 2 children. I knew that they weren't going to be great if I just had the implants out and that would be it. So I was quoted in Harley Street like 12.5K.
That's ridiculous. Like when I originally got my boob job done.
Yeah.
I think it was like max like 3.5.
Yeah, I did. I paid just over 3.
Yeah.
All those years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And this was just like, and I was like,
oh my God. No, thank you.
No, thanks. So a friend of mine had implants done in Turkey through this company. We went out for dinner one night. She said, look, you need to contact these guys. They were amazing. I mean, she found the whole process like seamless. Oh, God. And I was a bit like, it's Turkey though. You just have those foreign surgery. You can't help it. It just makes your heart flutter a little bit. You're like, oh, God, nervy. But I started to investigate it. I talked to them. I looked it up online. Then you have to send them the pics, and then they give you a price, and you have like loads and loads of conversations.
So you didn't go out there before?
No, it's all done via WhatsApp.
Was it?
Yeah. Make sure my head wasn't in the pictures. I was like sending the photos over. Took them off my camera roll straight after. Yeah, I thought, God, that's all I need is my little one to start going through my phone. I think, what is this? So... yeah, and I just did my usual. Right, made my decision. I'm booking it. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then I had to put it off because a lot was going on with the restaurant and cafe that we had at the time, and it just wasn't the right time to leave it. And then obviously that we closed it, and I was like, well, it is, I've got no excuse now. I've got to go. So I went on my own. My little one was doing his SATs, and we're his main caregivers. Like, we're there. Me and my mum are there all the time for him. He doesn't really see his dad that much. So there was kind of, we're his team. We have to be around for him. So my mum said, look, I'll stay while he finishes his SATs. You go out. Because they could only do it these particular few days, and then they couldn't do it again till like October, I think. So you go out, and then like we'll come out the day after you've had your surgery. He's finished his SATs. I was like, okay. I nearly didn't go through with it.
Really?
Yeah.
At what point?
When I was like, I mean, there was nothing to put me off. I mean, I'd recommend it to anyone. I mean, the hospital was just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that's, watching this and thinking about it, as long as you've researched the company, the facilities out there are like second to none. They're amazing. But when I went to the hospital to have all like my pre-surgery checks, I was like, oh my God, I've got to do this on my own. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I met a really lovely lady and her mum that was with her, and they kind of were like, come on, you can do it. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. And yeah, I did. I ended up having it done. And then luckily, by the time I come round from surgery, my mum was sort of there saying, don't worry, we're here in a really spot zone. Everything's going to be fine. And yeah, it was amazing. And yeah, I've had them done only 3 weeks ago tomorrow.
And you're healing fine?
Yeah.
And what is the aftercare
really
with
good.
that?
So I had the explant, and I had them out, and I came round, and in the hospital, they took me up to my room, amazing care, and I kind of looked to the end of the bed, and there was a carrier bag with these yellow.
Is it the drains?
No, it was the implants.
No, was it?
In this carrier bag at the end of the bed.
Just left there.
And I looked at them, and I was sort of kind of in this sort of half anaesthetic, they give you morphine straight away. So you're a little bit, I didn't have my glass on either, I'm so blind. And I was a bit like, what is, and I suddenly thought, oh my God, they're the implants. And my friend FaceTimed me, and she was like, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I said, look at these. Because what was worrying me, there was liquid in the bottom of the bag.
Oh.
So they were leaking.
My God.
So I suddenly went, oh my God. I said to her, look at these. She's had hers done, so she's like a little knowledge pot of information. I was like, look at these. They're leaking. And she said to me, don't worry, I think they've probably ruptured as they've took them out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And the surgeon came round that night, and he said, and I said, like, they're leaking. And he said they'd both ruptured.
Really?
And I said, what, you took them out? And he said, no, they had been leaking, and I can't tell you for how long.
God.
So I was like, thank God I had them out.
Yeah.
And when I probably look back now, I mean, you can go, and I've sort of stopped Googling it, because I just think.
What you don't know, don't hurt you.
Sometimes, isn't it? I don't want to know.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I'd had a lot of symptoms of what I thought was perimenopause. I mean, I was getting horrendous headaches and joint pain. I just thought it was perimenopause. I'd started HRT, I dipped in and out of it. I didn't really like it. I'd come off of it, put it all down to perimenopause, when actually now I think it was probably the impact. Yeah. I mean, because in that 3 weeks, the joint pain's completely gone. Not one headache.
That's insane.
And it was really bad on my legs, my ankles, and my hands, and that's completely stopped.
God.
So I can't for sure say, but there was definitely, it definitely obviously wasn't doing me any good. It was toxic materials. I just think.
Yeah.
And so that made me think, oh, come on, this is a good thing. You've done the right thing. It spurs you on. They're out now. They're gone. And the healing's been really good.
Yeah.
I mean, to have an uplift is not. It's quite a savage procedure in terms of what they have to do.
Yeah.
But I've done everything that they said. They're very strict about their aftercare, lots of tablets and antibiotic cream, iodine, and a very clear process on what you had to do. But I was worried about coming back to the UK, because essentially
you just have to go to the NHS, don't you?
Yeah. And I had a bit of a panic attack the night that we got back. I think I was in a bit of pain. We travelled all day. I was really tired. And I kind of got in bed. I felt great for getting in my own bed. And I suddenly thought, oh my God, now what if I have, what happens if I have some sort of like infection or I need to speak to someone. And I just think, you know, however we might knock the NHS in this country, you know, in so many ways we are so lucky to have it, because in any given situation you can just turn up at your local hospital, can't you, and say, God, I've got that resource that I can just go. Because I can't fly back to Turkey and go, could you have a look at this?
So do you still have to like text them, WhatsApp them, and
No, that I just think
they just let you
off on your own, on your own. On your own. If you want to be part of our referral scheme, you know, it's all a bit like that. But no, I think you just have to get on with it.
Yeah.
And I sort of, for me, it was quite clear. I mean, and I'm a bit older. I was there were 6 of us that went down for surgery on the day that I went in. And the other 5 of them were young. They were young girls and kind of, I don't think they wanted sort of more time and more reassurance, what's going to happen and how's it going to look and what size am I going to be? And because they were all having implants, I was the only one that was having out and an uplift. Some was having reductions and uplifts and implants, but they were all having implants. And it is, the only thing I would say about it is very one in, one out, next.
Yeah.
Highly professional. Everyone knows exactly what they're doing. But the surgeon was very much, I think, to them, right, this is the size that you should have. This is how it's going to be, and kind of like, off you go.
Off you go, yeah.
But I mean, I knew I was out, and I knew I was having an uplift. I just remember saying to him, can you just make sure they're equal and they look the same? And he just sort of said, well, that is my job. And I said, okay, thanks. But they were I think they didn't like that aspect of it. You know, it's like one in, one out. And then going back, kind of, one of them had special assistance on the plane. She didn't want to be touched. It felt very tight. And
I think because I've had loads of operations, I'm sort of just like, go on then. I actually don't think about it. Like when I was having my C-sections, my friends who was having C-sections, I was like, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's my pain threshold as well, but I actually don't really get bothered by operations.
I agree. I think you get older and your mentality changes a bit as well. You sort of, you don't worry about some of the stuff you would have worried about because you have to just get on and do other stuff, and that kind of takes over. It's sort of, isn't it? You don't get a choice. You're like, well, I've got to have this done because then I've got to go on and do this.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a bit younger, you're a bit like, oh my God, I can't, you know, you can focus on it a bit more. You have more time to worry about it.
Yeah, definitely. So what can we expect to see from your Instagram going forward?
No more of this, hopefully. I think I've shared enough of this. I think there'll always be a little bit of food. I've had, was approached by an agent actually, and kind of, which was amazing. I was really shocked. I was like, what, me? And they were an agency, and they sort of said, you know, your fashion stuff does really well, kind of, would you come on and work with us? But we want you to do kind of just that. And at that time I sort of said, God, you know what? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't know. I don't think I know what I'm doing now, let alone, you know, a few months ago. And I just said, I think for the minute, I just want to kind of play a little round, you know, build a little community, because the people that I'm meeting on here are amazing and I'm loving that. And then just sort of see where it goes. I think it'll always be a bit true to who I am, which is food and fashion. So it will always be 90% of that. I don't really know anything else. I think so I try to talk about anything else and just fall down really quick. But so hopefully a bit more of that, and like giving mums a bit of like confidence back, because, you know, life doesn't end when you hit your 30s and 40s. And I think now for me, my kids are getting a bit older. You come back to a bit of the era of yourself again. Yeah. You can do some of this stuff that you've probably wanted to do for a while but haven't had the time or the energy to do it.
Yeah.
So, probably that.
Although you say that about falling down, I was speaking to John this morning and I said, she was even talking about squirrels yesterday and it was interesting.
Do you know what? I had to delete that only because it had uploaded.
Did you delete it?
No, only because I'd done it in the school car park and it had uploaded. You know when they upload in the wrong order?
Yeah.
And I thought this makes no sense because, even the squirrel, that freaked me out yesterday, the squirrel thing in the garden. I'm not very good with wildlife.
I was really laughing. I was like, well, she made that sound interesting.
Maybe a bit of wildlife content then as well.
So funny. So it was so lovely to have you on.
Thank you.
I'm just going to do a little roundup. What would you tell yourself before you was a mum?
Oh, God. Don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just try and live in the moment a bit more.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, the day after that. Don't worry about what food they're eating, what schools they're going to go to. Everything works out. Just try and be present and live in the moment a bit more, because worry will kill, and fear kills so much. I think in everything in life, motherhood, work, everything. So just try and be happy and be a bit present.
Yeah. And if you could go back, because you've had so many chapters of your life, if you could go back to your hardest chapter and tell yourself something then, what would you tell yourself?
To not worry what other people think. It doesn't matter. It will never really matter. The only person that you ultimately ever really answer to is you and your unit, your family. The outside opinions of relationships that maybe you've been in, friendships, people that you've, crossed paths with or worked for, that it doesn't matter what they think or what they tell you about yourself or what they believe. It is what you believe.
Completely agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it was so lovely to have you
Thank
on.
you. It's been amazing.
I feel like I love you even more in real life than I do on your Instagram.
We're best friends forever now. I've actually met in the flesh.
We'll have to go out for lunch.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.